Hey guys, what is up? It's been a little while since I've done a video, and this one is going to be pretty short today. I don't have much time to record one today, but in a couple days I'll be recording some proper videos for everybody. But there's some news I just wanted to catch up on because it's been a while since we actually did one of these things. Since actually did one of these things, and I wanted to just hit on some Cloverfield news. I'm going to take this off real quick. I just wanted to hit on some Cloverfield news um, and some Quiet Place news that I thought was super interesting. Um, so here we go. Now, I just read about these instances and these things. So excuse me if I'm not totally fully in depth with my explanations of these stories, but they're super interesting. What is up, Anna? Nice to see you. So it is pretty much confirmed that there will be a Quiet Place 2. It's going to happen. I'm not sure in what way. There's not really a lot of info on what A Quiet Place 2 is going to be, but I think it'll be super interesting to see a second installation of that film. It's probably going to be franchised because it's a world that you could do a lot with. It's a brand new world. You could play around in it. You can do so much things in it. It's very brand new. There hasn't been a lot of lore built into it yet. But there's going to be a sequel. And I saw something that was super interesting that John Krasinski and Scott Beck and Brian Woods, a lot of the writers of and creators of A Quiet Place, said that when this movie first came to Paramount, it was being optioned. And many people theorize this, and I thought this myself, that the Quiet Place film was actually sort of an unofficial part of the Cloverfield universe. And it turns out that it almost was. And Paramount decided to go a different way with it. And here's a quote from John Krasinski, I believe, on Screen Crush. Screen Crush is the source about that possibility. And this is what he said. I guess it crossed our minds that we had spoken to our representatives about that possibility. It was weird timing, though, because when we were writing the script, 10 Cloverfield Lane was at Paramount. We were actually talking to an executive there about this film, and it felt from the pitch form that there might be a crossover. But when we finally took the final script to Paramount, they saw it as a totally different movie. Super interesting to me. I'm a big fan of Cloverfield, and I am a pretty big fan of A Quiet Place. I really loved it. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. Or, if it's not playing near you, definitely check it out when it comes out on video on demand or Blu-ray. But I really loved it. And it would have been really cool to see as a Cloverfield movie. But I know that I think it's strong enough to stand on its own and be its own sort of franchise or, world. And I'd like to see how the world of A Quiet Place expands, especially since, the events, I'm not going to spoil it because I know a lot of people still haven't seen it, but a lot of the events of the end of the movie kind of dictate a certain kind of knowledge. So I'm interested to see how they'll, go about being sort of the same kind of idea and having the same suspense intenseness that the first one did in the follow-up movies, knowing what they now know, if that carries over. But it was just interesting to see that, yes, they were thinking about making it a part of the Cloverfield franchise. I thought that was super interesting, and wish that we had been able to see that version as well. But I'm glad it kind of stands on its own because I think it was a really fantastic movie. Okay, so in a bit of other Cloverfield news, and this video is very Cloverfield centered today, because after the sort of, I guess, debacle of Cloverfield Paradox, I liked the film, but I wasn't blown away with it, especially because it had a lot of problems, and I know it had a lot of problems in production as well, and the release. And last minute buyout by Netflix and all this stuff. So it wasn't the perfect movie, no movie's perfect, but this one had a lot of problems, and um, it ultimately was not as great as it could have been. Although I did like it. Yeah, and Steve, I definitely like the ending because it sort of alluded to something else, which I'm going to get to in a second. Um, so the next film to come out in the sort of Cloverfield franchise is going to be Overlord, which is set to be released, I believe, in the US October 26th of this year. So we're going to have two Cloverfield movies in the same year, which is really beautiful thing. It's also going to be Bad Robots, J.J. Abrams' production company, their first R-rated movie. There's going to be a lot of gruesome death and destruction and just a lot of grotesque things, I imagine. I think the Cloverfield universe really kind of lends itself to being an R-rated film. I want to see it. I want to see the grit. I want to see it get real gross. um, but Variety released this article about a week ago in a short interview with J.J. Abrams, and they spoke to him at Paramount's panel. Um, this is sort of what they got about the new Overlord film. They said it's a horror film about World War II soldiers who find out the Nazis are using supernatural forces and engaging in gruesome experiments. We've heard it before. We've seen this kind of thing happen before in other films and books and comic books and whatnot. But we're going to see this sort of on the Cloverfield, in the Cloverfield universe, on that platform. Bad robot movie. Curious to see what they do with it. Curious to see how it ties in with the rest of the movies. This is going to be, the first film in the Cloverfield, timeline, ideally. And what we know about from Cloverfield Paradox is that what they did in that film is rippling through time. So it's interesting to see how that affected that era, World War II era. So that's going to be very exciting, and it's coming out this year, which is very exciting for me. They showed some footage at CinemaCon that J.J. Abrams said was batshit crazy, and I'm really excited for it. Apparently, the logo that plays before the film is the Paramount Pictures logo from the 1940s, which is really cool. That's just a special little Easter egg kind of thing for movie fans. And apparently, people were really psyched with the Overlord footage. It lived up to the hype. People are super excited for this film. Hopefully, the excitement holds up, and hopefully the film holds up, and we get a really awesome film this October. I'm excited, and they're saying this one definitely will hit the theaters, not just be dropped on Netflix like Paradox. I think it was a good move for Paradox. They didn't know if they'd get their money back on the film, and they broke pretty much even, Paramount. But I do like seeing the Cloverfield movies in the theaters. So I'm excited to watch a new Cloverfield movie in the theater. Hopefully Overlord and the one that comes after it is going to be in the theater. And here's news on Cloverfield 5. So this is pretty interesting. Let me see if I can bring it up. It was just really fascinating to me. J.J. Abrams said that they are actually developing a true dedicated Cloverfield sequel, and I'm pulling this quote from a Variety article, which is pretty reputable. So, I'm really excited for this. So there is going to be an honest to God Cloverfield sequel. Hopefully that we see characters from the first film, or reference to those characters and the events in that first film, and sort of follow up with those people. Because what we know at the end of the first Cloverfield movie is that Lily, for all we know, is the only one that survived. She gets away in the helicopter, and Rob and Beth, even though their voices are sort of garbled at the end of that recording, they might still be alive. Probably just really messed up. They might still be alive, but I'm gonna guess no. But there's going to be a dedicated sequel to Cloverfield, which is phenomenal to me, because I know a lot of people were like, we just want to see the monster, and we saw the monster. Spoilers, by the way, to Cloverfield Paradox. The monster from the original is the same, according to J.J. Abrams, is the same monster from the original movie. The monster that appears at the end of Paradox, same monster from the original film. So they're going to revisit that world, revisit that film, and whatever timeline that goes on. I don't know when it's going to be. I don't know how soon after it's going to take place, but it'll be cool to see maybe that monster interact a lot more than we did in the last film. We didn't really have too much of it, just sort of allusions to it, and then that big ending scene. But it'd be cool to see that monster fleshed out a lot more. We know at the end of Paradox that this monster is huge now, and you know we want to see what's going on Earth now that this monster is gigantic. And also, how does 10 Cloverfield Lane play into all this as well? So I'm excited to see all that. So a lot more cool Cloverfield stuff coming up. This is my first video of the month of May. Going to try to do a video every day this month. I wanted to kind of do this one as a quick little live stream because I just read this information and I wanted to just get it out. What's up, Leo? What's going on? Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining me. This is a short one today. Sorry, but I just wanted to get on, share this info, have it out there because it's really exciting. I'm a big Cloverfield fan, and I know we have a lot of good, big Cloverfield fans in subscribing to this channel. And if you're not subscribed, do that thing. Steve is asking, wasn't 10 Cloverfield Lane set on the alternate timeline? It's kind of fuzzy. I mean, everybody has their theories. You could say it's set in an alternate timeline, but I feel like they're going to do a little bit of course correction. Alternate Earth. I think that again, I as of now, I would say, but I feel like there's going to be some course correction with the next few movies because now they might have a bigger idea of what they're doing. With Cloverfield and then 10 Cloverfield Lane, I think they were just not supposed to be totally correlated story-wise. And then with the new one, Paradox, it seems like they are going to try to, connect them. So I'm curious to see how they actually do that. If they're going to make blatant connections between the films, because now everything's kind of in the air, I think. So I'm not going to say for sure one thing is, one thing or the other, because I think they're going to do a lot of fixing and, kind of course correcting. So I mean, I'd be happy if they connected. I'd be just as happy if they didn't. But now that they have the monster in the last one, I feel like you have to connect them at this point because you can't really do this, in or out thing where they're going to be standalones or no, they're going to be connected. We're going to have some of the same things in here. It's just, for us diehards, we'll dissect it till we're out of breath. But for sort of a casual moviegoer, they want to make money with this movie ultimately, especially if they're going to play them in theater. So they have to make them approachable and digestible for mainstream audiences as well. So it wouldn't make sense to just keep on like stepping in and out of this. They're connected, they're not connected. This monster is here, but it's not like the same monster. It's too much, I think. I enjoy it personally. I like the dissecting everything, but I know the sort of the casual moviegoer, and it's like I've seen this one. I've seen 10 Cloverfield Lane. I saw the first one. I saw the one on Netflix because it was a big deal after the Super Bowl. Might as well go watch this one, see what it's about. I don't know if they're going to be as into it. It's like when the first one came out, people connected to it. I felt very connected to it because I also did a lot of the online ARG and elements and stuff like that. So I felt a little closer to it. I felt like it was like almost a project I was working on rather than just this, shaky cam film, which a lot of people had a problem with that as well. I think a lot of people forgot that the first one wasn't received well either. I know Paradox wasn't received well, but the first one, people were like, "What? Get out of here!" I couldn't even watch it. I was throwing up in the theater because of all the shaky cam, but I loved it. I was 17 when that movie came out. Let's see, what are people in the comments saying? Jojo Daly is saying, just be stoked that there's more Cloverfield movies coming out that connect. Me too, man. Godleo says, I think it'd be cool to connect it because he can make books on each universe if they don't support enough budget on future movies. I was hoping they would do books or comic books because there was the comic book that came out a couple of years ago. that I really enjoyed. And there's a couple different translations out of that comic book, the manga. So you have little variations in the story ultimately, but it was really cool. I would have loved that they put out sort of an English version of that manga, but they haven't. um, but it would be cool to see something other sort of um, other Cloverfield related media. I'd love to read a book or read more comics about it. I definitely would go out and get the comics. And I'm still not sure after reading that comic book is if the comic book actually takes place in the universe, like this is a comic that you could find in that universe, or if it's just sort of, we're looking into it kind of thing. Still on my mind. I'm not sure if there was ever an answer given, because I know a lot of people gave up on the initial Cloverfield like clues and research, because it just dried out after a little while. Slowly we're getting back into it, especially with 10 Cloverfield Lane kind of restarting it. Then there hasn't been a big leap since 10 Cloverfield Lane and Paradox, and now we're getting 2 Cloverfield movies in a year, and I feel like they might come out pretty frequently, that at least one at a time. That Leo says, look at District 9. The creator he doesn't want District 10. He can make a book and the fan base might increase. I agree. I would love to see another release in that series. I don't know. I actually haven't been keeping up with District 9, but that was another one at the time that people thought might be another Cloverfield movie, because it had that same kind of mystery and aliens and whatnot. So that's it for today's video. I definitely want to have a bigger discussion about this as more information comes out about Overlord and about the movies that come after that. Not sure how quickly they'll be releasing information about these movies, but thank you guys for watching. This is already almost 20 minutes, so I guess it wasn't that short. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to be trying to do a video every day, so stay tuned. Put on that little alert bell if you're really that curious about videos coming out every day. And if I can maintain this, I'll keep going until I'll keep this running into June and whatnot. But in 2 weeks, I'm going to be in Utah, so the videos might be short and sparse, but I'll try my best. I'm going to be with Danielle in Utah, so we'll be doing stuff there, and I'll probably do some travel-ish videos. I don't know if you guys are interested in that, but we'll be doing those kind of videos. Oh yes, Steve, I'm sorry. This was super impromptu, so I didn't even tweet it out, but I will in the future. Jojo Daly says, you are my main source for Cloverfield info. Thank you, man. I try to be. I really like this. Turned into sort of a Twin Peaks Cloverfield centric channel, and it's because those are 2 things I love to death. And I'm sure when the new Doctor Who comes on, I'm going to be talking about that too. So thank you guys for watching again. Stay tuned for future videos, more Cloverfield, Twin Peaks, Doctor Who, a whole bunch of stuff coming away. Travel videos, regular vlogs, and whatnot. I'm going to try to pack this with so much stuff, and a good variety, so people don't just get one thing, but they see different parts of myself and different interests. So there will be that. Thank you guys for watching. I am off for the day. I'm going to watch Avengers tonight, and I'll probably do a video about that tomorrow. I'll probably talk about that tomorrow if you guys are interested. So until then, see you tomorrow. See you later. Love you. Good night.